Well, down there, Tadej Pogačar is going about his formalities and giving interviews for the final time in the second block of racing, heading into a second rest day. Totally in control of the Tour de France, despite a frenetic day.
Yeah, I mean, you'd expect him to be so much stronger than everybody. He's got a great team, and I think just his way of racing suits days like today where it's chaotic, and he just, at the front, he loves it. You saw at the beginning he was avoiding the crashes, he was in amongst all the guys chasing for the stage win, and that's just the way he races.
He's rather good at riding his bicycle. And another man who's the master of chaos is Daniel Friebe, who's somewhere in the midst of it all.
Stage 15 done. We're finally into the second rest day. Of course, are we still a little bit later than usual for second rest day? Feels like it anyway. Exciting day today. Victory for Tim Wellens. Some polemica, some controversy after the stage. Quinn Simmons telling us that he thought the motorbikes played a key role. We've heard that many times before when solo breakaways have succeeded in the Tour de France. Was it any worse today than it is usually? Of course, sometimes the breakaway, we hear complaints that the breakaway favoured the chase too much. Today, Quinn Simmons' finger was pointing very much at the stage winner. Well, it wasn't his fault, of course. In fact, here he comes, Tim Wellens, just behind us. He's heading back to his team bus now. Rest day for his team leader, of course, Tadej Pogačar. It's probably a very much needed rest day, of course, 2 weeks into the Tour de France. Yesterday, he was a little bit sick. We heard him talking about blocked nose. Of course, there's been a bit of illness in that team over the last few days. What else have we seen as we go into the final week of the Tour? Well, we've seen the Visma Lease bike riders definitely let off the leash. Victor Campenaerts, he came pretty close today. We expect more breakaways for the Visma Lease bike riders in the last week. One other talking point, today's stage, Julian Alaphilippe, his celebration, not the first time he's done that when he hasn't won. Of course, 2020 Liège-Bastogne-Liège famously celebrates. Primož Roglič slips under his arm and takes the win. Today, we wondered how had he not seen Campenaerts just ahead, and how did he not know about Wellens even further ahead? Well, he didn't, because he'd crashed earlier in the day and wrecked his radio. Fortunately, Alaphilippe still had a smile on his face when we spoke to him just a moment ago about that celebration, and he'll have a nice picture to remember the day. As I said earlier, though, we're going into the rest day tomorrow. Important rest day, a lot of tired riders out here. Important day for Oscar Onley, for Pogačar, for Vingegaard. Vingegaard, he needs to gather himself for this big final week. But we shall see what we get on the other side. Thank you, Ned. Thank you, David. Enjoy your rest day.
Thanks, Daniel. That was a lunatic day of racing, wasn't it? Absolutely bonkers. A crash very early on, very fast start. Nielsen Paulus, I think, was the rider who was off the front, and they were chasing him, and then a crash kind of like exploded the race and almost exploded Julian Alaphilippe's shoulder. Yeah, and it was so fast. So a tailwind again, like we've seen over and over again, and then just a desperation of the peloton. There's so many teams, so many racers that know they've got hardly any chances left in this year's race. And so combination of that desperation, tailwind, it was absolutely bonkers racing, and the crash just added to it. So It was chaos. Alaphilippe had dislocated his shoulder, and the doctor put it back. It sounds ridiculous, but that's what you've got to do with a dislocated shoulder. I remember it happened to Geraint Thomas a few years ago at the Tour. There are riders that know, that kind of have that recurring injury, and they just tell them, put it back in. He flinched a little bit, but he got back on. And, fast forwarding to the end, poor old Julian Alaphilippe out-sprinting Wout van Aert for third place and celebrating like he'd won it. Oh, super awkward moment. Super awkward. I felt for him, actually. Yeah, I know, but at least he got to enjoy it for a few seconds, which not many people get. Absolutely true. All right, then. So eventually that group went. But before that, Mathieu van der Poel, if he's going to win the green jersey, has to manipulate a race, find a race situation where he can drop Jonathan Milan and go to that sprint and take those 20 points. If he doesn't do that, he's got no chance. That's exactly what he did today. Yeah, it was textbook. I mean, I think in the team meeting that would have been the objective. They're a bit dependent on how the peloton races, and I think it was predictable how the peloton were going to race. And the fact Mathieu van der Poel has the strength to be there is how he's going to get himself back in the competition, and he's done it. Yeah, super exciting. And then eventually, it had to settle down eventually, and it kind of did, although never totally. And we got that group of riders off the front. They got through the categorised climb without too much action, actually, the very steep Muro, where you might have thought that'll be where the winning move goes. But the climb went on through that for another 10 kilometres, and Tim Wellens timed his launch to perfection. I think it was his strategy. It was a smart thing. Michael Storer just ripped it up on the climb because that's his strength. He has to go there. But Tim Wellens just pegged it back with Campenaerts.
And the fact that he was there and knew where to go. I mean, again, hats off to UAE because they'd done their homework. They knew exactly when to go. It was perfect because the group behind caught at the same time, so there was a little bit of a lull, a little bit of chaos in that group when Barguil and Carlos Rodriguez joined back on. And he just launched on the left-hand side. But when he launched, it wasn't just one of those attacks that goes for a couple of hundred meters. He was committed for a kilometre, and it just blew them off one by one. And then he was just go time.
It was Warren Barguil who very nearly shut him down, but then he couldn't go any deeper. Then Simmons, and you thought, well, he's got a chance. He did about 30 seconds, and then he was done. And from that moment on, formality.
I mean, that was what we often say in racing kind of tactics: attack once and do it all in. And you saw that Tim Wellens was textbook in that respect. We see the likes of Quinn Simmons who do multiple attacks. The idea is to wait and wait and wait, choose the moment, and when you go, it's everything. And you know, if he doesn't succeed, you've not won the race. And that's how Tim Wellens raced. All
right, well, let's hear from Tim Wellens, who's a Tour de France winner for the first time, stage winner for the first time in his career. And he is also the man in possession of one of the most marvellous Flandrian accents of all time. Listen to this.
For the moment, life is smiling. I mean, everything is going very good. To win a stage in Tour de France with this beautiful jersey, it's really a dream come true.
You chose a moment to attack, a long way out, 41k, and Quinn Simmons was at the back as well. Was that decisive in your decision to go at that moment?
Yeah, I knew that my strong colleagues were on the right side of the group and they were blocked when I attacked, so I knew I had to go on the left and just go full until I have a small gap, and when I had a small gap I tried to make it bigger and bigger, which I succeeded until the finish.
And one final question. The joy of victory, there's a different kind of satisfaction working for someone else to win. Can you compare the two kinds of pleasure, the two sides of your personality that it's calling on? It's difficult, huh?
Yeah, no, it's really an honor to work for Tadej. I think everybody would be in my place to work for a champion like he is. But I know he's also a very nice person who's very happy when his teammates win, so I'm sure he's very happy for me to win today. But as a domestique, it's a nice life. You don't have the pressure, you have to work, you can make the others suffer and then go easy to the finish. So it's a really nice life, and like I say, it's really nice I have the opportunity to do both.
Time to answer your online questions for stage 15. Seb Dove says, is there a slight chance that Visma have been moving more towards stage wins because they know deep down that Jonas may not be in the competition for the yellow jersey?
Yes, they have. I mean, that's been clear since the end of the first week, I think.
Yeah.
They have to.
They have to do something. And they've got one already with Simon Yates. JP Philo says, did the second team car pick up Remco yesterday, and how does the team manage an abandon? It's a good question. How do they...
It was the second team car. Then they'll take it to where you have soigneurs, team staff at the side of the road giving fees, and put him in one of those cars to be taken back to the finish.
Yeah, and then, or sometimes straight off the race, actually. They don't even go to the finish sometimes. If there's an airport nearby, then get him off or something like that. Simon Burke says, watching Le Tour and the Open, that's golf, I believe. Okay.
Yes.
Anything to say about golf?
No.
Okay. Both Tadej and Scheffler, who's a golfist, are at the pinnacle of their sport. Scheffler is citing boredom, where Tadej seems to be loving every moment. Is that the difference in the sport or in the personality? Well, since neither of us know who Scheffler is, we'd have to pass judgment on the sport of golf. You and I played a round of golf once.
Yeah, I'm terrible at it.
I'm terrible at it.
Yeah. I think it's just a personality. I mean, I think in every sport you get it. Yeah, Tadej, I think that's one of his strengths is the fact he just loves it so much. And the moment that love goes is the moment I think he'll start to lose his superpower.
Yeah. There is a video online if you want to go to YouTube and type in golf attack, incidentally, where you can watch a round of golf between me, Pete Kenyon and David Miller back in 2020. And I won't tell you who wins, but it's an unexpected plot twist. Mark Ogilvie says, we usually know the winner of the GC after the final Saturday. Given the changes to the final stage, will this still be the case, or will the GC leaders be racing? Well, I mean, something would have to change in the general classification rapidly for that to come into play.
Unlikely. I mean, impossible actually, because the race is going to be for the stage win, which will be so fast. So there's going to be minimal time gaps. And the way the GC has exploded, there's such big time gaps. No one's taking significant time on the final stage.
No. I mean, had it been closer, then maybe that would have been a very live possibility. Karen Taylor, whose bikes do the team cars carry if they're behind their breakaway riders, or is it a mixture of the team?
No, they always have all the riders.
One for each rider.
Yeah.
Two, possibly, for a leader.
Yes.
Keith S. says, can the teams talk back on team radio? So the riders, I guess, is what you mean. And how do they signal when they're in the mountains travelling really fast? How do they get signal? Well,
we heard Tadej talking back to the car on TV.
We heard Tadej on TV. He was talking to the car. And equally, today Tudor Pro Cycling lost radio contact with Julien Alaphilippe, and so that's why he didn't know that there were riders ahead of him. Finally from us, Dave from Havant says, Ned and David, if you were spectators instead of commentators at this year's tour, which stage would you like to watch? Cool.
Don't know, actually. I genuinely don't know. Probably Paris, just for the vibes.
No.
Yeah,
Really?
just for the vibes.
Just for the vibes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'd have liked to have been at the top of that climb today. I think that looked pretty good, that uncategorised climb.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good as well.
Lovely part of the world. And the last question from Jack McKillop, that's for Daniel Freeb.
Thanks, Ned and David. We have had a question from Jack McKillop. I think I know. At Freeboss, I often wonder if social media has killed the doomed breakaway that had no hope of stage victory but was once motivated by TV time for the sponsors. Musk and Zuckerberg have changed the flow of races, in brackets, maybe. What do I think about this? I think that it's not so much social media. Do you know what I blame? Wearables and very good feedback, data on physiology, because I think that riders are so, preoccupied with what they see sometimes on their wearables, as we all are, and whether they had a good sleep, a bad. My nightly recharge last night is terrible. I think they're acutely aware that by going in a breakaway, they're compromising the day after and the day after that and possibly the whole Tour de France. So that's why we don't see any trivial breakaways or breakaway attempts, or we don't see so many of them anymore. That would be my answer.
Okay, that's it. We've answered all your questions. Another thrilling day of racing here in Carcassonne, which is a city we know very well. Do join us tomorrow, where we'll have moved down the road a little bit and we'll be enjoying a rest day, kind of, because we'll be doing another one of these.